Hey guys, welcome to part 5 of the Prambanan Ramayana. This is the first battle scene of Ramayana, and here you can see two guys knocked unconscious, tied and bound by a giant snake. Who are they? They are Rama and Lakshmana. Yes, you have never seen them in such a sorry state so far. You have always seen them proud, victorious, and defeating others, but they're fighting Ravana, the greatest demon king ever. How did Rama and Lakshmana get into such a pitiful state? As you can see, the carving is badly damaged, but this is a popular scene in Southeast Asian temples. Let me show you the same scene carved in a different temple so we can look at all the details. Here we can see Rama lying unconscious on the floor. His eyes are clearly closed, but look carefully. There is another face behind him. That's his brother Lakshmana, and he is also knocked out and in a comatose state. Why? Because they've been hit by a weapon called nagapasha. This unleashes snake-like contraptions which made the victims unconscious and paralyzed. And you can see the snake coiled around Rama and Lakshmana. But why didn't Rama and Lakshmana fight back? Because the enemy is a magician. He is invisible and is hiding in the clouds. Can you find him? Here at the left corner, you can see a figure hiding in a cloud and shooting arrows. His name is Indrajit, and he is the son of Ravana. Interestingly, you can see the water in the clouds. So ancient builders knew that water was released from clouds, and this beautiful carving is also 1,000 years old. This is found in the Phimai temple in Thailand. The carving shows what happened to the ape army after Rama and Lakshmana fell to the ground. You can see the apes in deep sorrow with a hand on their chest. One monkey is shown praying to God to revive the brothers. Another monkey is seen wiping his tears away. Look at this monkey. He is blowing his nose. Your nose gets stuffed when you cry too much, doesn't it? But look, one ape has spotted Indrajit. See where he is pointing. He's pointing directly at Indrajit, who's hiding in the clouds. And his friends behind him are also noticing him now and are picking up stones and tree branches to attack him. At the far right, an ape is so heartbroken that you can see what he has done. But the carving at Prambanan shows an important figure. Who is this figure? Did we ever see him in Prambanan Ramayana before? No, right? Actually, we have seen him once at the very first carving of Ramayana. Remember how the 5 elements came to Lord Vishnu and asked him to come to planet Earth to defeat the demon Ravana? Look here, see how the exact same figure is shown. Who is he? He is Garuda, the vehicle or the mount of Lord Vishnu. After Lord Vishnu came to Earth and took the avatar of Rama, Garuda was never shown. But now Rama, his master, is in grave danger and Garuda has come to save him. But why Garuda? Think about it. Why is Garuda coming to save him here? Because Garuda is the antidote for Naga weapons. Garuda is the sworn enemy of Nagas. Remember how Garuda always defeats Nagas. I've shown this in so many carvings. So Garuda saves Rama and Lakshmana from the Naga weapon and brings them back to the conscious state. Now, look at this panel. It looks very chaotic, isn't it? Yeah, this is by design. They've made it look chaotic because this is how an actual battlefield looks. These carvings have seen a lot of damage, which makes it more confusing. In the center, there are lots of men and demons fighting. But on the right side, you can see Lakshmana holding the bow and shooting the arrow into the sky using projectile law. Next to him, you can see Rama, who's shooting another arrow. Look at how there is a spotter next to him who's holding a scope to his eye and telling Rama the precise location of the enemy. Who's the enemy here? Ravana, the demon king himself, who's shown at the far right. What is Ravana sitting on? He is sitting on a smaller demon who's on all fours like a dog. Why would Ravana be sitting on a demon? He's not sitting on a demon. He's sitting on his aircraft called the Pushpaka Vimana. Remember the flying machine he used when he kidnapped Sita? Remember how it had seat belts and was capable of flying? Yeah, this is the same aircraft he's using in the battlefield also. Here you see the front view of the Vimana with wings on both sides, and you can only see the face of the demon along with his hands. But in this battlefield, we see the side view of the Vimana. This is why you see the whole body of the demon, and one of its wings is visible here. Ravana is shown with 10 heads and 20 hands holding all sorts of weapons. But something is odd about him, right? Can you tell me what it is? Ravana is falling down. He's not shown sitting straight. He's shown at a 30-degree angle, falling to the ground. According to the ancient text, Ravana goes into the battlefield and decimates the ape army. All of Rama's army, even Lakshmana and Hanuman, were not able to match Ravana's strength, and Ravana was taking on everyone relentlessly for a long time and slowly grows tired. Then Rama enters the battle and he could defeat Ravana. This is what you see here. You can see Rama shooting arrows and Ravana falling down. So does Rama take this opportunity and finish Ravana off? No. Rama knows Ravana is tired, so he tells him to go home and come back another day after he recoups. This shows how magnanimous Rama is and how kind-hearted he is, even to a person who abducted his wife. Here's a very interesting carving. Look carefully. What do you see? Here's a warrior on a horse, and the horse is lifting its two front legs in the air. In front of him, another warrior is using a spear with full force. Are we in a battlefield? No, this is not a battlefield. Look below. There is a giant sleeping. He is in deep sleep. Look at his size and look at the size of the others. Now think about it. This is happening in Lanka, the land of demons. Already these figures would be gigantic, but this demon is much larger than them. Who is this sleeping giant? His name is Kumbhakarna, and he's the younger brother of Ravana. Remember, Rama defeated Ravana and sent him home to recoup and come back. Ravana realized that Rama is very powerful and he can only be defeated by Kumbhakarna. But the giant Kumbhakarna has a strange medical condition. He sleeps for 6 months a year, just like how bears hibernate. And when he sleeps, no one can wake him up. But this is an emergency. So Ravana sends his army to wake up the sleeping giant. Look at this guy. He's using a chisel on the giant's arm. You can see the cut marks on the giant's arm, and the giant is still not waking up. Next to him, a guy is blowing a conch directly into the giant's ear. Imagine doing this to someone and how they would actually jump up. But he is still sleeping. Next to him, there is a guy who's raising a dagger. He's literally going to stab Kumbhakarna just to wake him up. Below, there is a guy laughing and pulling the giant's hair. He knows he can do whatever he wants, and this Nephilim is not going to wake up. Behind him, you can see an elephant, and you can see two people controlling the animal. What are they going to do with the elephant? Look how this guy is laughing and pushing the elephant from the back. Look at how its tail is tucked in. They're going to make the elephant walk over this giant's body. To a normal human, an elephant stomping on him would mean an immediate death sentence. But to Kumbhakarna, this is going to feel like a mosquito bite. On the other side, a horse rider is making his horse stomp on him while this soldier is spearing Kumbhakarna on his belly. So, will he wake up or not? They made 1,000 elephants walk over him, and he finally wakes up and gets ready to battle Rama and his ape army. In the next carving, we can see Kumbhakarna in the battlefield. Can you tell me how many apes are attacking him? Here's an ape holding him by his chest and is trying to bite his body. Right next to it, there is another ape biting his hand. See how the giant is extending his hand and the ape is trying to bite on his hand. On top, there is another one trying to jump on his shoulder. Here you can see some erosion, but if you look carefully, there is another monkey biting his head. I think he's chewing on his hair because he has massive curly hair, but this ape is trying hard to bite him on his head. Behind him, there is another one grabbing his left arm and sinking his teeth into his shoulder. Kumbhakarna has already destroyed this monkey and is sitting on it. The monkey is completely bent out of shape and he's holding yet another ape by his arms, and this ape is also probably in heaven. There's one more monkey ready to pounce on him, but there's no way these apes can kill Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna is a giant. He fits the description of a Nephilim mentioned in ancient texts around the world. Kumbhakarna was fought by many at the same time. You can see a whole slew of people fighting him on this side as well. This is Rama who's shooting arrows at the giant. You can see his brother Lakshmana who's also shooting arrows. Here we can see the ape king Sugriva holding a large dagger. There is one more figure in between Rama and Lakshmana. Who is this handsome guy? Instead of looking at the enemy, he is oddly shown admiring Rama. Who is he? Now, there is a very interesting detail here. Behind him, you can see a saint advising Rama on how to defeat the giant. Who is the saint? This is quite intriguing because he's shown with plenty of hair on his head and a long beard, and he's also shown holding a trident. This is a classic iconography of Saint Agastya. We can even see a separate statue of Agastya carved large scale in the same temple. This is how he's carved in the Prambanan temple, but according to the ancient text of Ramayana, Agastya was not there. He's not mentioned in the scene. So, who is this saint and who is this clean-shaven good-looking guy. According to the original Ramayana text, during the battle between Rama and Kumbhakarna, a crowd gathers and rejoices the victory of Rama. The text specifically states that saints and heavenly beings called devas were applauding Rama for defeating the giant. This is what the sculptor is showing here. He has carved one saint who's visibly happy and showing one finger at the giant as though he deserves Rama's arrows. And the sculptor has carved one deva, a handsome celestial being who's admiring Rama. Look at how all the warriors are focusing on the enemy. Everyone is focusing on Kumbhakarna, but this guy, he is just in complete awe of Rama's prowess. Here you can see the dead body of the giant Kumbhakarna and his relatives are grieving over it. That's what you think, but no. This carving is not supposed to exist at all. Why? Because according to the ancient text of Ramayana, Kumbhakarna's head, arms, and legs were all severed by Rama's arrows, and his head was thrown into the ocean, and there is no mention of his funeral. But here we can see this carving where the dead Kumbhakarna is in full shape with the head and all body parts intact. How is this possible? If this carving intended to show his relatives grieving over his body, there would have been women carved around him. If you look at this carving, for example, it clearly shows women and family grieving over someone. But in this carving, it is specifically shown that all these people are men. They're deliberately shown with mustaches and bare chest to indicate they're men. Kumbhakarna had 2 wives and they would have definitely been included if this was just grieving or a funeral process. But you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 male figures. Are they grieving over his demise? No, they're not shown crying. In fact, some are shown with a curious smile. Why? Because they're putting back his body parts and making him get back to his original shape. They're stitching his body parts together. Look at this guy. His hand is on the giant's arm, indicating that they're all putting him back in shape before they do the funeral ceremony. Look at what this guy's holding. There's a strange device with 3 triangles in his hand. What is it? This is probably a suturing device which puts body parts together. Today, if someone is killed in a battlefield and gets disfigured, his body parts will be put together so their loved ones can see him get a proper funeral. But we can see that such a procedure existed in Indonesia and India 1,200 years ago. Think about it. They had lots of wars back then, so there must have been a need for this technology to put these body parts together. So now we know that Kumbhakarna's body parts were collected, sutured together, and he was then given a proper funeral with full rituals. And we could not have understood this without this carving at the Prambanan temple in Indonesia. Here's a carving that has confused all experts. Who are these figures and what are they doing? Some experts have claimed this is Sita and this is her helper Trijata while she was kept in the grove by Ravana. But such an event is not described in Ramayana at all at this juncture. After Kumbhakarna's death, Sita and Trijata or not mentioned in Ramayana. But experts are missing an important detail. This is not a grove at all. These women are sitting in a palace. Look behind them. You can see windows with X marks. I've shown you similar windows in palatial buildings of Lanka before. You can see columns and the roof of the building, and you can even see curtains. On the side, you can see a potted plant. Look at the base and a large wine jar. So this is definitely not the place where Sita was kept as a hostage. She was kidnapped, so she was kept in a grove with no facilities. So these details confirm that they're showing a rich palace or a mansion in Lanka with their queens crying. But there's one more detail which indicates to us what this carving really shows. Who is this figure? Have you seen her before? You have seen her before with curly hair, big eyes, and overweight body. Not once, but she appeared in 2 different carvings before, and she was the root cause of the downfall of Lanka. She is Shurpanakha, the sister of Ravana. Notice how she is shown in the exact same form with the same curly hair, big eyes, and obese body consistently in all carvings. Here we can see Shurpanakha and these 2 women crying. In the original Ramayana, the queens of Lanka and wives of the dead all start crying and rebuking Shurpanakha. At this juncture, Kumbhakarna and many of their good generals had died, and Lankans had lost hope. They know they will lose, so the women gather and talk about how this downfall started. And they all point out how Shurpanakha started the trouble, how she became infatuated with Rama, and how she then cried to her brother Ravana, who in turn got angry and then abducted Rama's wife. If it were not for Shurpanakha, these women's husbands would be alive today. This is written in Ramayana exactly between Kumbhakarna's death and the king's death. So this confirms that the carving shows the queens and wives of demons crying along with Shurpanakha, who is crawling in shame. But what will happen to the other women of Lanka now? Will their husbands at least survive? The answer is already indicated in the carving. Can you tell me how? Yes, the great bandicoot rat, the ill omen, has emerged once again. This time, it is standing on its 2 hind legs and ready to jump. Look at him snarling at the women. There's going to be a lot of death and destruction very soon. Remember, I showed you the bandicoot rat 2 times before. First, it appeared when Rama's father died. It appeared below his body and was feeding on leftover flesh in the funeral ground. The second time it appeared when Sita was being abducted by Ravana. Ravana took her by force and caused great sorrow to Rama, and the bandicoot rat was shown next to her. And here it is shown once again, portending the death and dark future of Ravana and his men. There are many layers of symbolism hiding in Prambanan Ramayana. I don't want to go too much into it because humans don't pay attention to hidden symbols. But just understand that in this carving, the bandicoot rat has appeared for the 3rd time, and Shurpanakha has also appeared for the 3rd time. It would be interesting to question why it is shown this way and also to question if anything else has also appeared for the third time. Ancient builders have put many such hidden codes in the Prambanan Ramayana, and I'm only showing you the tip of the iceberg. But this carving also raises an important question. Why are the wives of demons not looking like demons? Why are they looking like today's supermodels? Let's discuss this in the next carving. Here you can see a figure lying down and a bunch of women surrounding him and crying. Who is he? He is none other than Ravana, the king of demons and the arch enemy of Rama. How do we know he is Ravana? Because he is shown with many heads. We can see 5 heads in this carving, and we can assume that the other 5 are behind. And you can also see his many arms, so we know for sure this is Ravana. But why is his death shown suddenly? There must have been at least 1 or 2 carvings that show Rama and Ravana fighting before this scene, but those carvings are all destroyed. We can clearly see from the last few carvings that most of the stone slabs have been subjected to serious damages, and we have lost the carvings of the final battle between Rama and Ravana. At Ravana's feet, you can see the queen of Lanka, the wife of Ravana, in tears. How do we know she is Ravana's wife? Because she is removing her wedding necklace. This is called the Mangala Sutra. This is the Hindu equivalent of the wedding ring in the Western world. The Hindu woman gets a wedding chain from her husband when she gets married, and she won't remove it as long as her husband is alive. Here, we can see her removing the wedding necklace and placing it on her husband's feet. Nearby, there is another woman. Her face is destroyed. Maybe she is the queen's assistant, or maybe she is another wife of Ravana. Ravana had multiple wives, and you can see them all lamenting his death. One woman is shown touching his arm. Another woman is shown with her hand on his chest. And the last woman probably had her hand on his head. This carving shows how loved Ravana was by his wives. Did you notice how the demon king's wives don't look like demons? There are female demons shown in several carvings, but look how Ravana's wives look like supermodels. We saw this in the last carving, and you may have noticed this before. And if you had watched the previous episodes, you may have observed this with the ape clan also. The apes look like apes or monkeys, and even the ape king looks ape-like with a flat nose and protruding teeth. But look at his wife. She doesn't look like an ape at all. His wife also looks like a human, a beautiful woman. Look at the other females in his palace. They all look human-like. Why do the royal females of apes and demons look like humans? Demons should have married demons and apes should have married apes. But the females, not all females, because you can see regular female demons too. But the queens of ape kings and demon kings are always shown as humans. Did interbreeding between different species take place in ancient times? For example, did Neanderthals mate with humans, and did they live along with us? At face value, we look at Ramayana with a certain disbelief, right? demons and sophisticated apes living with humans. This is like a fantasy movie, right? But were the demons really Neanderthals? All ancient texts say they had better physical strength, but had lesser intelligence than humans. Is it possible that other species existed along with humans side by side? Did the other species like Neanderthals take human wives? Why else did the sculptors carve it this way? Let's get back to Ravana. Ravana is shown on the funeral pyre on top of a pile of wood. You can see logs of wood neatly stacked at the bottom and a wooden plank on top adorned with flowers and garlands of flowers. This is typical of how funerals are held in India today. Not much has changed in the last 1,200 years. But what if we compare this to the funeral of Rama's father, where he's shown sitting in a box with his hands sticking out? This kind of funeral is unheard of amongst Hindus. So there is a marked difference shown between these two funeral ceremonies. But you have to look deeper to understand why such a difference is portrayed. Again, this carving has gotten all archaeologists, historians, and even tour guides confused. By popular opinion, this is a saint by the name of Vishwamitra or Vasishta being happy and telling his disciples that Ravana has been killed. Again, such an event is not mentioned in Ramayana, and this interpretation is wrong. So we have to decode this carving. Look carefully at the carving. Who are these people? What are they doing? Is there a way to identify these people? How can ancient builders carve some random figures and expect us to understand who they are? No, ancient builders have done a good job, but were not observant enough to understand who these five guys are. In fact, the same five guys, one with a beard and four without beards, also appeared in a previous carving. You remember this scene from Prambanan Ramayana? What is happening here? If you do remember this scene, you deserve a pat on the back because 99% of the viewers would not remember this scene. This is the very first scene of the Prambanan Ramayana where these five guys go to Lord Vishnu and request him to kill Ravana. This was the mission. And now the mission is completed. Ravana has been killed. This is the whole point of Ramayana, the destruction of evil by God. These guys are getting closure for their troubles. This is why this carving is shown here. If you compare them, you realize that these are the same guys, one guy with a beard and four guys who are clean shaven. Several books and papers have been written about the Prambanan Ramayana, but none of them have decoded this correctly. So we're doing some spectacular job, guys. The future generations will realize that the oldest Hindu epic has been carved thousands of miles away in Indonesia, and they will be able to understand the story fully. Look at the happiness in the face of the bearded guy. He's probably announcing the news of Ravana's death to the other guys. Look at the expression of relief in the faces of these guys. They're hugging one another and are visibly happy and relieved that evil has finally been destroyed. The whole place is filled with flowers and birds to show the celebratory, festive mood. Every year, the day of Ravana's death is celebrated as Diwali or Dashara by Hindus. They decorate their houses with flowers, distribute sweets, and enjoy fireworks even today. So this carving marks the first Diwali or Dashara, the first time the festival was started when Ravana died. In the next carving, we can finally see the reunion of Sita and Rama. This is Sita, but Rama's face is badly damaged. Let's recreate this using Photoshop. This is how Rama and Sita would have looked together originally. You can see the intimacy in their faces and body language. They have been separated for such a long time. They've been put in a separate room, and you can see food stacked in front of them. Behind them, you can see furniture, and on the side, you can see palatial buildings of Lanka. In the next room, you can see Lakshmana quite happy to see his brother and sister-in-law together. In front of him, I'm 99% sure that it would have been Sugriva, the ape king, and the carving would have looked like this. It's too bad that these carvings are destroyed, but at least we're able to recreate them using modern technology. Behind him, you can see two saints. Finally, you start seeing these bearded saints. They were never there after Ravana's appearance because Ravana was against these saints and rituals. So now they've started appearing again, and they also look quite happy to see Rama and Sita together. On the far left, you can see a person readying a horse, getting ready to take Sita and Rama. Where are they going? Of course, now they have to get ready to go back to their own kingdom in India. Yes, 14 years have passed since the exile began, and they are at the right time to go back to their kingdom and be crowned as the king and queen. Finally, we can see another problem getting settled. Rama and Sita are being crowned as the king and queen of their own kingdom. You can see Rama sitting with his legs crossed in a strange position. This is probably how ancient kings sat during the coronation process. This is exactly how Rama's brother Bharata was coronated when they sent Rama to the forest. Look at the belt that is wrapped around during the crowning ceremony and see how the same belt is wrapped around Rama's leg and his body. So this time, after 14 years, Rama has finally returned and has taken the throne. Rama is shown with elaborate jewelry. I bet everything was made of pure gold and studded with diamonds. You can see the halo around his head, and next to him you can see Sita also with a halo around her head. She is also exquisitely adorned with jewels, worthy of a queen. But look at both their faces. Their faces look quite stern. What is the reason for this serious, somber expression? Why didn't the sculptor carve them smiling? There could be many reasons. There could be a lot of regret and resentment that they were forced to go into exile, which led to Sita's kidnapping. Rama had to go and fight a war with the greatest demon king who had a large army. He could have easily gone home to his own kingdom and asked for help, but he did not break the promise and so on. They may be thinking, is this all worth it? But look at the assistants holding fly whisks behind the king and the queen. Notice how they're also not smiling. And then we can compare Bharata getting the same ceremony. Notice how he's also not smiling. If you look at modern coronations, like the coronation of King Charles III, he looks quite somber. I don't think you're allowed to smile. I think they train you not to smile and keep a serious demeanor because everybody's eyes would be on you. Nearby, however, you can see two figures. One of them is Lakshmana, the brother who traveled everywhere with Rama. He's seen smiling, and the other guy is Bharata. He's seen with a hand on his chest, close to his heart. In between, there is a somewhat scary figure. He's laughing loudly, but he looks a little bit scary. This is Vibhishana, the brother of Ravana and the new king of Lanka. He has come from Lanka to see the coronation of Rama in India. This is probably the only carving of Vibhishana in all of Prambanan Ramayana. Remember, Vibhishana is also a demon. He is the brother of Ravana, so he would look a little bit scarier than humans. Was he a Neanderthal? Even though Rama, Sita, and assistants are keeping a serious demeanor, the birds have clearly picked up the celebratory mood. On the left, you can see a couple of birds clearly in love, symbolizing Rama and Sita. On the right, you can see the palace. It is a grand two-storied structure with gable and roof. Look at the windows. They're made of small squares with X marks in the center. Believe it or not, the same type windows, these are called jolly windows. They're still used in India today. They look good and keep a good airflow and allow sunlight in. On top of the palace, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4 birds. But there is a secret detail. The bigger bird on the right is feeding the smaller bird on the left. Yes, this is the mother feeding the smaller baby bird. And right next to them, you can see the dad. Yes, this is the father bird. It looks bigger than all of them and is watching over the baby. There is also another smaller baby bird hopping on the roof. This is a symbol. A symbol of what? Yes, Sita is going to be pregnant soon. And Rama and Sita are going to have children. So you see how everything ends so well. In the end, evil was defeated and good prevailed, and the world can operate normally. All the earthlings can live peacefully. Rama successfully found his wife Sita and is reunited with her. Rama has also regained his kingdom and has been crowned the king of Ayodhya. This is such a great ending for India's first epic Ramayana. And the Ramayana carved at the Prambanan Temple of Indonesia has given it a totally new flavor. Carved with exotic animals, with its own interpretation of ancient technology, its own scenes of comedy, and its own dramatic twists and turns. In my opinion, the Prambanan Ramayana, carved thousands of miles away from India, has surpassed many other versions of Ramayana, and the happy ending makes all the struggles worthwhile. Needless to say, Rama and Sita lived happily ever after. Or did they? The original Ramayana, written by Valmiki, ends with the climax of Rama and Sita getting crowned. But look at the carvings at Prambanan Temple. They continue. The Prambanan Ramayana is not over. In fact, in some ways, it has just begun. There are many shocking twists and turns after the coronation, so I'll post them in the next episodes. I hope you liked this video. I am PraveenMohan. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.